William W. Paholak of Defiance, Ohio, sent me a letter of his experience. 1968 was my first year for deer hunting. I bow hunted in the early season with my dad in Brighton that year. Gun season started on November 15th. Myself, my dad, grandpa, my uncle went camping, quote, deer hunting. We tried hunting in the Huron National Forest with no success. 2 weeks later, we pulled stakes and headed a little south to St. Helen. We drove around public land looking for a place for the evening hunt. After finding a place that looked like it had potential, we pulled off the road, loaded up our guns, and headed out. The plan was to go and fan out, looking for game trails and hope a deer comes by. I was headed through the pines that were planted in rows about 10 feet apart, and the trees were about 8 feet apart from each other. My father told me when walking in the woods, take a couple steps, then stop and look around. The couple steps at that time resemble the way wild game go through the woods, and you won't spook the deer by walking like a human. I desired that I would go through these pines until I find a clearing, then wait for a deer to come by. After 100 yards in, I did my 3-step and stopped to look. I thought I heard steps following my steps. I looked around, and below the branches I looked for deer legs. I didn't see anything, so I went again. And this time I could hear steps matching my steps. I thought, this is weird. I looked again, and nothing. I went again at this time, and it sounded like steps were coming towards me. I looked again, and nothing. I thought to myself that maybe it's a deer that's thinking I'm a deer by the way I'm walking. I was on high alert, thinking I was going to harvest my first deer. Suddenly, I got a whiff of something awful smelling. Really bad. Never smelled anything like it before. I became nervous and scared. I had the feeling I was being watched and felt sick to my stomach. The woods changed, and I didn't know why. It was like I was standing still. No bird noises, nothing. I got really sweaty and felt a gloom come over me that I had never felt before. I didn't know what was going on, but I had the feeling I wasn't going to make it out of those woods alive. I took 3 big steps, staring in the direction of where the steps were coming from. I was shocked. The tree branches that were right next to me were being spread apart 5 feet over my head. I didn't see anything walking, but I could see the limbs being parted, and hear the footsteps right next to me. I was perplexed. How can this be happening? I leaped to the next row of pines and crouched down, hoping that whatever it was didn't find me. The steps kept going after I stopped. A voice spoke in my head and told me twice not to look at his face. Now I'm breathing so heavy I feel like I'm going to pass out. Where did that come from? What just told me not to look at its face? I had to look around, but I kept my face low. I looked under branches to see white, hairy legs step into a row that I was in. Sasquatch legs. I could see at least 4.5 feet of legs. As big as they were, and as high as I felt safe to look, it wasn't even up to the thigh. That thing was huge. It stood there for about 10 to 15 minutes, then walked forward. It only took 2 steps to clear the space to the next row, about 10 feet. It kept going. I didn't move until I could hear it walking away. Then I went as quietly and fast as possible back to the car and locked the doors and waited for everyone else to come back. I never returned to the woods for 8 years. Finally, when my brother talked me into going with him, I decided I wasn't going to ever say what happened in St. Helen. So let's fast forward. A new show on TV called Finding Bigfoot. I watched the show and made a mental note to watch it the following week too. So when the show starts and my wife, who has known me for 30 years, asked me why I didn't want to watch that show, then I told her what happened to me in St. Helen. She believed me from the first by just the way I was telling the story. My voice changed when I got into the detail and I had a genuine look of fear on my face. I shared with her my story. I started researching about Sasquatch on the internet and buying books and reading them. That incident was the only time in my life that I ever had fear so bad that I was going to die. It was a feeling I hadn't felt since. I started telling what happened to family members, not sure that they believed me, or were just being nice to not hurt my feelings. My uncle doesn't go into the woods with no less than 3 guns. I've learned a lot over the last few years, and the voice that spoke to me in my head to not look at its face was a Sasquatch warning me. Thank you for tuning in to my very first blog / podcast, Whispers, the Bigfoot Whispers Hub. My name is Robyn Hyatt, and I do have a Patreon page. If you go to patreon.com, I'll put the link below. And I do have more stories on Patreon. I'm keeping some of my stories on the down low, and just for those who want to learn. I am a medium. I have helped detectives and family members in cold cases and missing people. I usually see people that are deceased and try to help them and serve them and try to seek justice. As I was doing this and honing into my abilities, which I believe everybody has them, something came through, and it was a Bigfoot. And it shocked me. This Bigfoot started talking to me. It's a female, and she has given me lots of information on how the Bigfoot live, how old she is, where she lives. She's giving me some language, and not sure what it all means, but I write it down anyway. So on my Patreon page, I do have those for subscribers. This subscribing is from $1 up, and I actually support 3 Bigfoot investigators on Patreon because I feel, $1 a month, I can't. They can use it, I can help them out. If I can do more, I'll do more. So it's actually a pretty fun place to look around. Patreon gives us, as artists and inventors and mediums, a place to quietly and positively tell our stories. I also am an artist, and I do have an Etsy store, and I am going to give away some of my art every month. So if you like this YouTube page and you like what you've heard today, write your name below in the comment section. On this one, I'm going to have the comment section. From now on, I may disable the comments because I know YouTube can get kind of hairy with people's comments, and people feel like they can say anything that is extremely negative, and it kind of upsets other people that like the podcast. So I'm going to do a giveaway, and I believe my first giveaway, it is absolutely the most awesome thing. It is a ceramic pencil pen holder. It's very tall, and it has one of my paintings of the Bigfoot. I will probably, if you go over to the Patreon page and you can look at free some of my stuff too, I will put a picture of it on there for you, and that will be for my first drawing. I believe I'm going to have that drawing mid-August. I'll let you know in the next podcast when I have that. Thank you guys. Have a great day, and peace out.